So it's Matthew Brown here with a new episode of the Open Booth with a new location and a new guest as usual. So let's go on, step into the Open Booth.
Awesome.
So I'm Matthew Brown, as many of you hopefully know by now, and we have our guest today is Paul Hearn with Dog Training Elite, but we're not going to talk about that yet. It just so happens that I'll go ahead and spill the beans that we met during one of the networking things. I meet a lot of people through networking, and it's a great way to meet people, even if you're not a business owner. I think that we have a few entrepreneurs and things like that that are part of the networking kind of community. And it's interesting now, this is totally aside, but there's a networking thing in Richmond called Encorepreneur. Have you heard of this one?
No.
Okay, it's called Encorepreneur, and it's kind of like it's just kind of like the mix of like a second act and preneur, like entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gone to a few of those events around Richmond, and the interesting thing is it's like some of the people, they're just like, they're just corporate people or whatever. But it's like a networking kind of event. And one of the ones I remember in particular was they did it in the Bird Theater there. And so they had the Encorepreneur there, and they had someone from the Virginia Film Department come in and speak. And so it's not a great place to network as far as like if you're trying to make business connections.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I guess you would call it the wine and cheese kind of hunter, like kind of networking kind of thing. So it's another opportunity. I kind of am a networking kind of very open to any kind of networking.
Mm-hmm.
I go to supply chain networking. I have nothing to do with the supply chain. I go to like Encorepreneur, which is like like I said, the wine and cheese kind of thing. But I've been doing a lot of talking. So a lot of times when I start out these episodes, people get used to this. I ask a question. Now, this question is, where did you grow up? Is Richmond your home?
So funny you mentioned that. We talked earlier, and I talked about I've been in Richmond for almost 30 years now. And I'm originally from the Roanoke area, Southwest Virginia. And just by chance happened to get a new job, and then after a few years got relocated here. It worked out for a couple of years, and then I moved on and did a bunch of different other things before I landed where I am now. So I call Richmond really my home because I've been here so long. I've been
which part of Roanoke?
so
I've got family that is in.
I actually grew up in Bedford County. I say Roanoke because a lot of people don't know where Roanoke is. So it is a small city. But I grew up in Bedford County, which is a bit more rural, just outside. So I grew up in Vinton, Vinton.
Okay.
A suburb of Roanoke, but small, fairly borderline rural. That's where I grew up. But I've been here longer than I was there. So I do consider this my home, although a lot of my family is still back there.
What brought your family to Vinton?
That's a good question. My heritage, at least on my dad's side, which is, a lot of my heritage, they were in West Virginia. A lot of coal mining in my family way back, and, grandfathers. But what I found out is, a lot of my family settled there, centuries ago, but a lot of them moved from West Virginia straight south into Roanoke because they were kind of in that mid-southern part of West Virginia. And Roanoke was the nearest city other than Charleston, which was a lot further from where they were. So they just landed in the Roanoke area, and they just ended up staying.
My stepmother's from a little town, Salem, which is right outside.
That's a beautiful, beautiful town.
Yeah.
I've got some friends that live there. I spent a lot of time there doing business. It was actually, I always considered Salem, although it was smaller than Roanoke, I always considered it nicer than Roanoke because
It's kind
It
of
was
got
funny.
like a little, like that small town kind of feel. And kind
It
of thing.
does,
It's
but
got,
everything was always nice, and it was to me, and my dad always said this, was that it seemed like they used their tax dollars
the right way, kind of
to
thing.
put in the city and make it nice. It was always seemed really, really nice. But I think part of that was the size. You know, Roanoke has always been quite a bit bigger than Salem, so
It kind of
they're
reminds
stretched
me
more
a
thin.
little bit of so where my wife, her family kind of grew up around this little area called Maryville, Tennessee, which is
Mm,
right about 45 minutes from Knoxville.
okay.
So it's kind of has that little feel to it.
Yeah.
It's not part of the bigger city. It's kind of down. It's got this nice little hometown kind of feel, and it's got like the quote
Yeah.
downtown with like the row of shops and things like that, and it's got the historic area and the parks and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That kind of similar kind of feel that like Roanoke and
Yeah.
Salem kind of
Kind of
share that kind
big,
of.
big city adjacent, right?
Yes, yeah.
They're close enough, but far enough. So,
Now, do
yeah.
you go back there at all? You still
We're
have
actually
family
going
there?
back this weekend, but we're not going back specifically for that. We're kind of making a stop because we're going to the Virginia Tech game this
Oh,
weekend.
okay.
But we're going to stay with my dad um, for the Friday night, and we do that quite a bit. We take the boys
What
down.
kind of work
and,
did your dad do?
well, he's retired now. He's been retired for a while, but he was a self-employed contractor. So he
Okay.
did a lot of most of what he did was remodeling and additions. He was a one-man show for years. Growing up, he was the only breadwinner in our house. So
Now, did he fit the stereotype? You know, the stereotype, the contractor's house that's falling down.
oh no, so the funny thing with my dad was we moved a lot, but almost every house we ever lived in, he built,
Oh, okay.
which was kind of cool. So generally when we moved in a house, it was fairly new.
Okay.
There wasn't a whole lot of repairs that had to be done
Okay.
unless one of us stupid kids did something wrong.
So it was like, was he kind of like knew the kind of flipping before it was flipping? So he would
no.
kind of buy it, stay in it for those couple of years, and then kind of
So
turn around and.
my grandfather, my dad's dad, when they moved out of West Virginia and left coal mining, that's what my grandfather decided to do. Decided to become a builder.
Okay.
Now he built a lot of houses in the Roanoke area, and this is back in the I guess what 50s, 60s, maybe before that. I don't know, but a lot of small little ranchers, and they're all over Roanoke. So my dad grew up around that, and he had three other brothers, two brothers and a sister, and all the boys had to work with my grandfather. That was part of the requirement. Well, my grandfather moved a lot too. He moved a whole lot. Like I can't remember the number, but it was just crazy amount. And I don't know if that was just him building and moving,
Having
building
the
and
itch
moving.
to build something
Yeah.
new.
So my dad did that somewhat, but not nearly as much. I think in my years of in between being born and high school, I probably lived in I think about 6 or 7 homes. So maybe that many. I haven't thought about that in quite a while. So it's funny you're bringing this up. But moved around quite a bit. So I don't know if it was. I think it was just my dad always wanted to be working. He was one of those that never had liked to take a vacation, didn't like to go anywhere and stay overnight, and that's just him. So I think that was his excitement was building a place, staying in it for a while, and then let's go on
Are
to
you
a new thing.
you're one of how many siblings? Or
I have
okay.
an older sister.
Older sister.
Yeah.
Okay. Now wait, since you're the only son, were you expected to maybe take over the business kind of thing? Or?
That was never. I don't think that was ever really broached that subject. I think it was.
Yeah, but sometimes things are like
Yeah, kind of an understood.
Yeah, like-
not. No, I don't think it ever was.
you didn't work with them then.
I did actually.
Okay.
Almost every summer I worked with him for a long time. But when you're young and middle school, that age, preteen, early teens, I think back on it now, it was ridiculous. But back then, I'm like, this is like contracting. It's like this isn't a big, cool, important job. Now I look back and like I've learned so many skills from working with my dad that it was like probably the best thing I ever did. But so that was never anything that even came to mind when I was thinking, when I get older, I'll do that. It just,
You ever think about and like going back? I mean, your dad's still alive.
oh yeah.
Asking him, well, Dad, we never ever talked about this. Did you ever think about me taking over? Were you maybe kind of a little bit you disappointed? Maybe I didn't.
I'll have to do that this weekend. I will. And Dad, I said, Dad, majority of his career was a loner. He just worked by himself, did everything himself. Of course, his body now is in the state it is because he did that. He beat himself up. But I think that was just
It's part of that silent generation, though.
Yeah, exactly. He just
Not
that's
that
what
maybe he never really never wanted to ask you. He just wanted you to
never complained. Just did his thing, did it really well, with no assumptions. But I'm gonna have to ask him this weekend. Now that you put
Now,
that
a lot of
in my mind,
a lot of men of that generation, they have I'll just call them like their best bud, who is their help, like the guy who helps them a lot.
it ended
Did
up
he have
being
like
that
something like that?
later in his building career, as I got older and moved away and started my own life. He had and they're still very good friends to this day. His friend Roy, who we met that family in church years and years ago. He worked for him for quite a few years later on, and then he actually ended up going off eventually on his own and starting his own construction business.
Okay.
So, my dad was really good at what he did. I mean, he still is. He still has to work, even though he's in his 80s.
Right.
But really good at what he did, passionate about it, and was a good role model. And I think that was part of why his friend and colleague at the time, Roy, kind of moved in the same thing. He realized he had the skill. My dad taught him a lot, and he just kind of
A lot of people of that generation, especially men, just they can't ever give up whatever they do. It's like it becomes so ingrained. My father has been an attorney forever, and I've been trying to convince him, okay, you just need to set it all down, put it all down.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing was in a good way for him was that he moved his office into his home a number of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes it even harder for him to give it up, because
it's there all the time.
It's like he just walks down the hallway and he's there, and I'm just just start writing articles and stop doing the general practice of it. But it's that tight grip.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of probably like your dad a little bit.
And it's a generational thing, because I mean, now you look and people are hopping jobs every year, sometimes more often.
Yeah.
My generation, Gen X, that we kind of in between. Like I did the longest career I had was 12 years. I was in the same industry for 22, but I had a 12-year stint with ADT, the security company. And for me, that was a long time. But I mean, you had people his generation working in factories for 30, 40 years, start there day one, retire there your last day. It's their mindset, for multiple reasons, of course, but that mindset has shifted.
Well, there's not many of those jobs like that anymore either.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And the internet changed things, of course. There's a ton of reasons.
So when you were growing up and you said you moved 6 or 7 times, what was the age, all the way from elementary to high school you were doing this?
Yeah, so the first house I really remember was probably when I guess I must have been 3 or 4. Then we moved, and I was in a house when I was in elementary school, kindergarten. That was 2. Then I guess we moved after that to Overlook, and we were there. That was the one we were in the longest. I call that the nicest house we were in. We moved when I was in 10th grade. And for me at the time, that was hard.
I was going to say.
Even though I didn't have to change schools or anything.
I was going to be my next question. Over all these moves, did you have to move schools a lot?
When I was extremely young, toddler into elementary school, that was one school when I moved, and by then I didn't care.
Right.
But the rest of the time, I maintained where I was going to school from
up until 10th grade.
Until I graduated. Actually, we never moved. After we went to that place after I was in elementary school, we never went out of that area of Bedford County where we lived. We had one,
But you were just
two,
saying that like when you
three,
were in 10th
four.
grade, there was a really hard,
It was because that house was my house that I grew up,
oh,
what I
okay.
consider what I grew up in.
You didn't change schools. It was just the
No,
house.
it was the house.
Okay.
And I lived in that house basically from first grade
What
to
was
10th
it
grade.
about that particular house that like
I just think I grew up there, and it was that was really
all your memories were there,
yeah,
really,
this is the only house I really felt I knew.
right?
Because my prior houses, I was super young, whatever. But I built all and most of my memories in that house.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were from first grade through when I left. We were in 4 houses, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, 6 houses.
And then that house that had all the memories in it. You said how old were you when you moved out of that one?
10th grade.
10th grade.
Yeah.
And then what? So you said that was like emotional. Like I mean, like, did you express it? Like, was there like some kind of?
I was
like,
angry.
You're.
I was angry. I felt a bit betrayed. At the time, I look back and it was, we weren't moving anywhere. We literally moved down the street. I mean, it was,
Right.
but at the time, that was everything in my life, essentially.
But sometimes even like part of that is you might have like close friends that like you grew up in the neighborhood with. I don't know if that's what you had too. But even that, just that small, like you move a couple blocks and it still changes the dynamic.
Yeah, and
I don't know if you had that. or
I
not.
didn't actually, because that house we lived, it was at the base of a small mountain, and we live in a cul-de-sac with 2 other houses.
Okay.
The folks next door that became really good friends with, the 2 boys, they had prior to that moved away.
Okay.
So I didn't really have that connection. It was just something about being there.
Yeah. It was that
And
most
having to
formative
leave.
time in your life
Mhm.
when you were forming, literally forming memories kind of and emotions for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
When you like, it was that bond, kind of like a bonding
Yeah.
between your house and that became like your home. Like when
Right.
you say home,
Yeah, exactly.
that's what you think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that kind of got ripped.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I still, excuse me, when I'm in that area, a lot of times I will drive by that house just to see
I was going to
it.
ask that.
Just
I
to
was
see
gonna
it.
say.
There's a Miranda Lambert song called "The House That Built Me,"
Right.
and I'm getting a little emotional now. That song, when I first heard it, laid me
Have you
out.
knocked on the door?
It
Just like she does in the song?
laid me out, and that epitomized my feelings at the time.
Yeah.
But I look back on that now, though, because I remember how I felt. But looking at that now, and it's like it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean,
You can rationalize that.
You
now,
can.
yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it actually gave me more opportunities to be in a different place, have different experiences than what had become, I guess, habitual and living in that same place. And it made it easier for me to move as an adult. We've been in the same house now for, I guess, 18 years now. Yeah, 18 years. And we built that house. And as I get closer to retirement, as I'm getting up in age, I'm no longer, like, I have an attachment to it, but I'm like, let's get these kids out of here. Let's get a smaller house so I don't have to worry about yard work and all this stuff. So it's a change. It's a shift in perspective that I guess we all go through. But it's a funny.
How many kids you got?
Just 2.
2, just like you.
Yep. Yeah. 2 boys though.
2
no
boys.
girls.
Okay.
Was
your wife like hoping for the girl, or is she like, no, I wanted boys?
We both had an opposite gender sibling.
Okay.
She had a brother, I had a sister. So I think both of us in the back of our minds were like, it'd be cool to have that dynamic. But we had some issues with getting pregnant, staying pregnant, all of those things with both of our boys. So I think we were just thankful to have them. But I think deep down we were like, oh, maybe this one will be a girl. So, but in the end, it really didn't matter. So as long as we have healthy kids, it's the big thing.
Yeah. And how old are your kids now, roughly?
16 and 9.
16 and 9. Okay.
And there's a big gap because
I
of
was gonna
those
say,
issues.
there's a big
Those
gap.
issues we had,
Okay.
you know, kind of dictated that gap. Because again, she and I both have our siblings somewhere between 5 and 6 years apart.
Now, I've done this with my kids when they were younger. Now, you didn't say this, but like, do you drive them by that house that you grew up in and kind of say, you know,
I have.
this
I
is the
think
house I grew
once.
up in? Or they just kind of roll their eyes?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh,
this
that's
is
cool.
interesting.
That's cool." Now there's some stories about that house that's quite interesting that I've especially told my older one.
Oh, can you share?
Yeah, that house it was a ranch house. My dad always liked ranches. One level, simple, easy. It was 100 feet long. It was a really
Exactly
long
100
ranch.
feet.
Yeah, almost.
Okay.
And it was just but it sat on. I think it was about an acre and a half or 2 acres, and I had almost an acre of yard to mow.
Oh dear.
And we didn't have a riding mower.
Okay.
And a nice section of that yard was over the septic tank lines. And that grass was always at least double the size
So nice and thick.
of the rest of the grass. So there's a running joke.
And this wasn't a septic tank for those probably. It's probably a septic field.
This is a field, yeah.
Yeah, so there's different things. For people who don't know, like there's different kind of septic systems.
Yeah.
Some are like these lines that run out and they kind of soak into a field sort of. And like there's some of them now that like the septic is more of a tank that kind of
Right.
holds the effluent and
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things like that.
And these are the
And
lines.
there's some combinations sort of out there too.
And the lines that went out in the field, the grass would always grow taller along those lines. Those lines were probably 30 feet long, I guess. There's a running joke about my dad was very insistent that chores get done and things you had to get done
Right.
before you ate dinner. And there was always a little bit of friction between my mom and my dad. My mom was a lot more empathetic to us than my dad was.
Oh, they're starving.
So there were multiple times where I had to mow that grass or I didn't eat dinner. And Dad found an old comic in a newspaper, High and Lois,
Okay. Yeah.
and it was about a kid doing chores, and he whited out a couple of the words and replaced the chore with mowing and whatever with dinner, and it's still on the fridge, because it was always a joke that, sorry, but he has to do it, and
Right.
I knew I had to do it, but typical, I would wait till the last minute.
I was going to say, you probably had a week to do it or
Exactly.
something.
Like I knew it was something I had to do. But man, I just remember.
Has to be cut by Friday.
I remember.
You're like, it's Friday, like at dinner time. And
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
"Oh."
I'm so hungry. But I remember having to take that mower and put the deck as high as it'll go,
Hunger's a good motivator.
and then I would have to mow like half strips
Oh,
to get through that thick grass. It took forever.
at least you didn't have to bag it and dump it somewhere.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But it's all of those things that I had to do back then.
How many times did
Built
it go,
my yeah, exactly. It just bogs down and dies.
You're like, oh.
But all those things I did were built my work ethic to where it is now, which I couldn't be more thankful for. Those times where I hated my dad and was all upset and just mad and angry, and now I look back and it's like, man, I can do pretty much anything I need to do now,
Yeah.
and I'm not afraid to just tackle things, which is all because of the accountability that he held me to when I was young.
So you grew up in this kind of small town in Virginia, and then you said, so you went to Tech because you're going to.
I went 1 year
You
at
went 1
Virginia
year.
Tech.
But you said you were going to a game. Now, what's the
Yeah.
tie-in there? Your
Well,
wife go
so
to Tech,
we've got
or
some really, really close friends who,
Oh, okay.
as of this year, both of their daughters are going there. So we're, it's been a good excuse to go, because I did spend a year at Tech and found out that I wasn't cut out for college when I was young.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of an affinity there, but
So
it's
when
mainly
you-
because our friends.
So did you graduate from college?
Later in life,
Later in life.
I
Okay.
went back to school and graduated from Strayer University in 2006 with my degree.
Okay.
When I was young, I wasn't ready. I tried it and was like, well, this isn't going to work.
Well, I have two kids. One of them went to trade school, and the other one went straight into, well, he took a gap year and then straight into the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And then one who wanted to go to JMU, did go to JMU, didn't graduate from JMU, and then went in the Air Force
Yeah.
to pay for part of the college. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully he'll graduate.
Yeah.
Then maybe it can, I know he can elevate his career even in the Air Force
Oh yeah.
if he eventually does graduate. I think I bumped him up because he had already taken 3 years in his whatever. He went in a little bit higher rank than he would have otherwise gone in. So you're you got your time in, and then you wanted to move out of that small town now, and then so you went to tech for a year, and now after that, were you still living in that area?
I was still in the area, but I had gotten a job with a local company, and again, long story short, worked there a couple of years and got promoted and moved actually to Colonial Heights, which is just south of Richmond.
What took you to Colonial Heights?
The job.
The job.
There was a location down there that I was got promoted to operations manager for that location, and moved there.
Was this in security, like ADT?
No, so that was before my security work. It was a local tire company, tractor trailer tires, retreading, that kind of thing. It was someone else in my family was in it, and I got the door open to going into it. But I moved here, did that for a couple years. Again, I was in my early 20s. And as you do when you're young and dumb, I got really, really mad one day and had been fed up and just quit on the spot.
Okay.
Which I don't advise.
How old were you at this point?
I must have been, I was in my early 20s.
Obligations? Like
just me.
Just you.
It was just me. Now, granted, I had bought a house. I had actually just met my wife. We had just started dating back then.
But you had a mortgage.
But I had a mortgage.
Okay. So that's what I meant by it. That's some obligations.
That was an
not
obligation.
just personal,
Absolutely.
like people, but
I had a mortgage. Long
was there
story
a little
short,
bit of panic?
it was a bad choice.
Okay.
It was a choice made in the heat of the moment. But it ended up working out.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Now, was your fiance like working, and did she have to help a little bit?
So she was still in school, actually.
Okay,
She graduated from Lynchburg College.
You found another job quickly?
So yes and no.
Yes
I did some I waited some tables, got a short stint at a small investment company. I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew college wasn't for me. I quit my job. I wasn't drawn to any particular career field at the time.
Right.
And just messed around. And at that point, I met some friends, and I have a lot of long story shorts, but found out about an opportunity to work for ADT as a technician. And I love working with my hands, and I love electronics.
Got that from your dad a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The working with my hands is all from my dad.
Yeah.
Just being able to know that I can do things. So jumped at that chance, got the job as a technician for ADT. Another long story short, 12 years later, I had worked as a technician. I had worked in sales.
Let's not gloss over this 12 years.
Okay.
Long story short.
Okay.
So like, how long did you date? Like, where'd you meet your fiance?
So I met Shannon, my wife, through a former high school friend.
Okay.
Who we had run track and cross country together. We'd spent some time together. My high school friend went to Lynchburg College. She met Shannon there. It's the classic, hey, I got someone I need you to meet.
Okay.
And they're like, hey. So actually it's two friends. It was Susan and Kelly. Both of them, they were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. We were hanging out. I had an apartment still in Roanoke. And they're like, you need to meet Shannon. Susan's going to school. So we met. Took a little while to actually hit it off. So the rest is history. We started dating right after Thanksgiving of 1993.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. What year did you get married?
2000. That's easy.
Okay, then
That was easy. That was like 2000, man. That like we couldn't have picked a better year to get married.
Then
But
you
we,
were like, well,
our first date was a hockey
first
game.
date. Okay.
Hockey game in Roanoke. Um, pretty memorable stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's how that was. It was a introduction to from some high school friends.
What is your and your wife's go-to like thing? Like, is it like if you all like have like I'll start with like a trip or a vacation. Is it like to the mountains, to the beach? Is it like is there some like go-to thing that like is y'all's thing kind of
So
thing?
I'll kind of say not really. We don't really have one, but so this is the other thing. So my wife Shannon was born in Switzerland.
Okay.
It's again, this is a long story, but her mother is Australian. Her dad is Scottish. Her dad, being in Scotland during World War II, this family immigrated to Australia to get away from the war, essentially. And they met in Australia. And he graduated from college there, got an opportunity in education. So he got an opportunity to teach at an international school in Switzerland. Again, this is a lot of stuff. I'm glazing over some stuff. And they ended up settling in Switzerland and were there for over 30 years. And that's where
Okay.
my wife and her brother were born. And
Isn't
then,
it Switzerland the country where you're required by law to have a gun?
yes, correct.
Yes.
I don't know if it's still that way present day, but
You're
it was
required
always
to
that
go
way.
and like be trained and like go to a shooting like range like once
Yeah,
a
I don't think
year
they
or
do that
something,
much anymore, and I don't even know if the gun thing is still in place. But it was like that up until
look it up
at
and
least.
say in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's still required now, but yeah, that was like that for a very very long time up until at least the recent.
You were just
recent
hoping for a
past.
Swiss bank account somewhere.
Well, that would have been a nice addition. But Shannon and her brother her brother's older, so he came and went to school here. She ended up coming to school here. There are some colleges that have big international recruiting
Okay.
people who go over and find people to bring in. So that's how
See,
that's
did
how
you
we
speak
met.
any Swedish?
No, Swiss
Swiss.
German actually. So there are multiple different languages spoken in
Okay.
Switzerland because they border so many different countries. There's French, there's Italian, there's German, there's Swiss German. Of course, there's English as well.
I speak a little German because my mom was born in the Sudetenland, which is
Oh.
a country that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It didn't really exist. It
Right.
was only during the beginning of before World War II,
Mm-hmm.
like where the Czech Republic and yeah, so that's where she was born.
Oh, that's cool.
A little town called Usti Nud Labem, which
Oh,
means like
nice.
the bend in the river.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
My sister actually getting an opportunity. She's going there, taking her kids there, like I think sometime this month or
Oh,
next
nice.
month. I've never been, but it sounds cool.
Nice. So, all that being said, get back to your original question about our go-to. One of the things we did when we were younger and we haven't really done much of with the kids is travel. Like I was luckily through our relationship, I was able to go overseas and visit a lot of places and see a lot of places. I've been over to Switzerland and England and Scotland and Australia, and I've been able to experience all those things. We haven't traveled in a really long time, and I think that's one of the things that we, especially my wife, because they traveled as a family when she was young a lot.
Right.
Of course, they're right there in the middle of it. They had a lot of opportunity to see so many different places and cultures. So,
When you're in Europe, it's like going to North Carolina.
right, yeah, these countries are like states here.
Yeah.
So travel, I think, is a thing that eventually we want to get back to because we just haven't done a whole lot of that, except for maybe traveling around the state, maybe out of state a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's hopefully something that we get back into our regular schedule here
So-
soon.
When you were at ADT, did you? I'll ask it this way: did you have like a family dog, like for all when your kids were growing up,
So
and things like that?
the only dog we had when I was young, because my dad never liked dogs. My dad wasn't a pet person. That was nothing. He didn't have them growing up, and that wasn't something that he wanted. So one day, out of the blue, he brings home this dog. He was working at a job site. I think it was really close. And this dog wanders on and we've been asking for a dog forever. So he brings this dog home. It's a mutt. It's got a black tail, a black tip on its tail, so we name her Tippy.
Okay.
And
Kids are always the most inventive.
oh man, so creative. And we had the dog, and I only remember this a little bit. I don't remember how long we had the dog, but one day she disappeared,
Oh.
and that was heartbreaking as well. And then after that, I was like, all right, no more dog. So when I moved, right before I moved from Roanoke to Richmond area, I adopted a dog. That was my first dog, I mean, on my own. This is back in '93.
What kind of dog was it?
A mutt. I got her from the SPCA.
Yeah.
And I've had dogs ever since. I've never been, I think we had a stint where we were maybe 6 months dogless, but
Always like medium-sized dogs or
yeah,
large dogs?
small
or-
to medium,
Okay.
small to medium.
Not the little yippy ones.
No. It's, and for anyone who knows me or knows us from Richmond, you'll know Amber because Amber is with me a lot. She's a 15-pound poodle. She's fairly kind of small, but she's tall.
Not standard.
No, not standard.
Okay.
Standards can be quite large.
Okay.
We went 6 months without a dog because if you've ever had a dog, and I know you've experienced this, when you lose a dog, it's amazing at how painful that is. Even though it's an animal, you form bonds, and this is, again, part of the training psychology. You form bonds with these animals that you usually don't form with some people. It's nuts. So after we lost, because we got another dog after that dog I adopted, and then that second dog, which was a Cocker Spaniel, she died early. She had some issue with her immune system. And then we lost Sarah, my first dog, and those two dogs leaving was so hard that we decided we were going to wait and hold off on having a dog. Then after a few months, you're like, wow, I really miss having a dog. So I think we only went about 6 months, if I recall, before we got another dog. So, and it was also, our son was young. We were having a hard time having another kid. So we're like, Caden needs needs a partner. So we got another dog. And then soon after we got pregnant again. So go figure out how that works. But yeah, I've always had a dog. I don't know. I can't imagine life without a dog.
So when you're at ADT, the reason we're talking about dogs will make sense in here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of was a teaser at the beginning, but you wanted to start a business around training dogs. Now, where did the seed of that idea come from?
Well, it was almost knee jerk, believe it or not. I never ever in my adult life until after COVID did I ever think I would ever A, open my own business, and B, I would ever be a dog trainer professionally. It was just nothing. It was something that just never occurred to me. I thought it was cool. I watched Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, all the time. Like
Right.
he was, an awesome, amazing person. But again, long story short, so a pivotal time in my life was in October of 2019. I got diagnosed with a mass in my brain, right frontal lobe of my brain. It ended up being what's called a cavernoma, which is a cluster of blood cells that can randomly appear either in the brain or the spine. Think of it as like a raspberry. Just think visually and about the size. Ends up mine was a cavernoma with a golf ball sized blood sac around it. It was found by accident because I was having a sinus CT scan because I've got chronic issues with my sinuses, and they just happened to see it. So that was October. November, I had it removed. Had brain surgery, which was crazy to me. And it was one of those things that happened so fast. And I had virtually no symptoms before or after. It it's one of those things that happened. I was out for 6 months. I couldn't do anything afterwards. Now it's like a blip on my radar. It's almost like it was a dream. It's almost like it didn't happen. The only thing I know is like I've got a scar under my hairline where I can actually feel where it happened. So that was November of 19. 2020, COVID hits immediately afterwards. I'm so glad I didn't have to deal with surgery during that time. Amazing. That time period, I was doing a lot of traveling for my job. I was managing territories. I was doing a bit of projects, management stuff, and just different things, traveling a lot. That happened. I'm stuck at home. COVID happens. I'm stuck at home even longer. Then the gloss of my 22-year career in security kind of faded. And I realized, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this career, but I don't ever remember a time that was sustained where I was like, I'm jumping out of bed ready to go to work. The passion was never really there.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know that I want to do this anymore. It was a big time of reflection for me. Being home with the kids, the family. Turns out my stepsister was in a similar situation. She had left her job and was looking for something. She introduced me to a lady who ended up being essentially, if you want to call it, a franchise broker. I had multiple conversations with her. She gave me some ideas, presented me with some ideas. I found out about dog training franchise, which at the time I didn't even know existed. Like, there's a franchise for dog training?
Oh,
And it,
before you, I want to go back.
okay, let's go back.
Rewind a little
Yeah,
slightly.
send me back. I ramble, so stop me.
When you had a blood clot, like it's not a clot, but whatever you called it,
Mm-hmm.
was that like? I mean, some people can handle things, and some people like. Was it like one of these kind of like really pivotal moments, like kind of thing, or did it affect you not that much? Did it affect your wife more? Like, I mean, talk about that for a minute.
So, and that's why I tend to gloss over it, because the way it all came down, I was getting a call from my ENT with the results of my sinus scan. And he tells me, okay, everything looks okay on your sinuses, but I got something else to talk about. We found 11 millimeter mass in your right frontal lobe of your brain. And that comes through the phone, and I'm like,
I mean, people
wait,
die
what?
of
Yeah.
brain bleeds.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, what? It just didn't register. And I think that was like a Wednesday or a Thursday of that week. I had to travel, I think it was to Ohio that following Monday for my work. At the time I had left and had gone back to ADT doing this project thing. And we're talking about it over the weekend, and it's just, we're still processing it. I travel to Ohio, rent my car from the airport, drive to my hotel, walk in my hotel room, put my stuff down, and I lost it. Because I was by myself, and it just hit me on, what this could potentially mean. Because I had no idea. Luckily, we still do, but had a friend who was in healthcare who knew the right person to call to get me in for an appointment for an evaluation. So it moved so fast. And after our evaluation, and the surgeon basically telling me, this isn't even close to anything, this isn't close to the worst I've ever seen. In fact, this is probably the best case scenario, which was still scary. Going into that operating room, or being in the waiting room, getting ready to go in the operating room, was the scariest I've ever been in my life. Because I know my head's getting cut open, and I don't know how I'm coming out of the other side. So it was a matter of just a couple weeks from the point I got diagnosed, or it was found, to having it removed. It was super fast, and I still don't understand how it happened that quickly, because that's major, major surgery. So that changed my perspective on a lot of things. It shocked me. Obviously, it shocked the heck out of me. And that just, again, that started this path of, if you want to call it, maybe discontent with where I was. No, or discontent with my
it's not an
job.
intentional thing, but like
No.
a lot of the podcasts that I've been doing, like people, there's pivotal. It's a pivotal moment
Yep.
that people come to that like makes you evaluate the things that have been going on and saying, well, where am I going?
Yeah.
Where do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And like, especially it's like some are more life and death. Like, I mean, literally life and death.
Yeah.
And to say, as you're saying, like you have this kind of really emotional time was like, what are the potential, like potentially that I'm not going to be here.
Yeah. Or I wake up and I'm severely, injured.
Yeah.
Or, unable to speak or see or whatever.
But it kind of gives you almost like it can give like a blank slate kind of feeling though. Once you get on the other side of it,
Yeah.
you're like, what do I want to do? What's like maybe the thing that I feel like I'm meant to do?
Yeah.
Is that kind of like what's happening now, like a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just, I can't see myself staying where I was. I couldn't see myself staying where I was.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about franchises, and then like the dog thing came up and it kind of resonated. Like
absolutely.
Dong, you're like
instantly.
Like
In fact, the one that when she presented me with the dog training franchise, it actually wasn't one she presented me. She presented it to my sister-in-law or my stepsister. And she mentioned that she presented it to her, and I was like, "Well, hold on a second, that's a thing? I didn't know that was a thing. Tell me more."
Yeah.
And she told me more.
Well, so we're going to talk for a minute about where we are.
Yeah.
So this is a beautiful park, and it's you highlighted a couple of things. Tell me like about this location. What's the significance to you and maybe to Richmond? Tell me a little bit about it.
So Forest Hill Park, being kind of a beautiful park, right? It's not in the center of the city. It's on the south side, on the other side of the river, but it's in the thick. And, the city is quickly expanding out this way with whatever land is left. But this park, if you can see, there's kind of some rolling hills. There's a lot of older houses around. I don't even remember the dates. I think it was in the late 1800s. Maybe early 1900s. This was an amusement park. Which makes no sense to me.
With like a roller coaster.
Yeah, roller coaster. A huge lake back in there was a huge lake apparently. And then eventually it got torn down and just made into a park. But there's some historic significance, as there is.
One of the big tie-ins here is that you and your business, you use the park sometimes.
Yes.
Meet clients here, a little bit.
We do group training for dogs here, which is amazing because there's always something going on here.
That's a very beautiful setting.
Place.
And there's a historic structure behind it. I'm not quite sure what that is. Do you know what that is?
I can't remember the significance. I've read it. It's been a while since I've read up on this park. Yeah. The old stone house.
The old stone house. That's what that nickname is, I guess.
Yeah. But
so we just have a couple minutes left.
Yep.
And I find that when you're in a setting like this, and we just finished up I call it grand dog sitting. We had our son's dog who was with us for a couple of months while he was transitioning from one place to another. And we would take this dog for a walk like 4 miles a day, 2 miles
Mm.
in the morning, 2 miles in the evening.
That's good.
And this dog like lost like 15
Yeah.
pounds like with us. But one of the things I kind of like was we have neighbors who have had dogs, and we kind of walk around, not together, but we see them.
Mm-hmm.
One of our neighbors got a new dog, and the dog, like he said, he said, I've gone through every trainer. Um, I can't take it for a walk. And my wife and I were talking about it last night. It kind of breaks your heart that, like, they go and they get this dog and they want it to be part of the family. They want it to, and he said he's tried all kinds of stuff, and it's like, um, yeah, and it kind of breaks your heart when it feels like that. But maybe I just need to give him your number.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the one thing that, with what we do, we try to be upfront and honest. And, we're going to have conversations. I have conversations with a lot of people about their dogs. And everyone's got an idea of what they want, what training looks like. And I'm not the trainer for everybody. I mean, I know that, and I don't want to be that, because everyone is different with their ideals. But I find that a lot of folks come to us as a last resort when they should have come to us first.
Yeah.
Because the way we train and getting the client involved and building that relationship, it's pivotal in helping a dog understand what their role is.
But and this is something I wanted to kind of touch on, which is, you said it, which is you can create this bond with a dog that that's not like any.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of boils down to, I kind of jokingly kind of like would say, it's like DOG, GOD,
Mm-hmm.
like the love without condition.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
In a dog, you can have that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's, my wife is jokingly like, we won't have the one running up to the door wagging his tail like happy to see you, like no matter what.
Yeah,
It's kind
yeah.
of like, that's one of those like awesome kind of things
Mm-hmm.
that like you want that. And it's kind of, I'm being a Christian, it's kind of one thing that, like, in a way you can look at a dog like and say, well, how can I be a little bit more kind of to the people around me like that?
Yeah.
Like, happy to see somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a small amount. I got this Chick-fil-A booth. I worked at Chick-fil-A. And one of the things I thought about, I kind of commented later to other people, was there could be people that come into that Chick-fil-A and they'll get a greeting.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, welcome Chick-fil-A, glad to have you. And then when you leave, hey, thanks for coming. There'll be people that come in, that will be the only greeting they get.
That'll be the best part of their day.
Their best part of their day.
Yep.
And I was thinking about that. That kind of ties in with the dog, and with like having that, if we could be a little bit more like that with each other, to love each other and to say, hey, it's great to see you. Like, we don't have to wag our tails or anything.
Yeah. That would be weird.
That would be weird. But I think that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's kind of like what you want to give to people, is to have their dog, like, to be that, that unconditional, like without like the trauma.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one of the aspects of being human is a lot of times we overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
All the time. And dogs are uncomplicated.
Yeah.
And what we tend to do is overcomplicate our dog, or overcomplicate things for our dog. They don't like that. And a lot of times that just throws them off.
Right.
And if you can learn to not overcomplicate your dog,
My dad used to call it KISS, right?
Keep it simple, stupid. Yep, absolutely. And we have a hard time doing that. Just as humans, just dogs aside, we overcomplicate so many things.
Yeah.
And if you don't try to overcomplicate your dog, they're going to be happier. Things are a lot clearer to them, and you are going to have a better relationship with your dog the less complicated it is.
Yeah.
We have complicated relationships with humans. It's the way we are, and with our spouses and with our kids. You can't have that with a dog. Don't do that with your dog. Be super simple.
Right.
But that's hard because we're
We
living
want
with
to complicate things.
all of them with one big family or one big pack, and we treat everybody the same.
Well, this is the kind of thing about, I think the word is animation. And it's not animating like, drawing something. It's we want to impart into dogs and things an animation that's not there.
Right.
A feeling. I'm not taking away from the fact that like we feel like we're connected, but it's that we want to imagine that they feel the same way,
Right.
that they have the same thoughts and all those things that we have, and that's animation. We're giving to them an animation that they don't really have.
Correct. Yep.
And when you do that, it's that complication that's not necessary and actually can be harmful.
Yep.
In a way, to try to do that, it's that getting back to like very simple, like simpler than a child in some ways.
Absolutely.
And it's not about like even the words sometimes. It's just it's about like the feeling, and the yeah, like with a baby, even a human little baby, it's like it's the feeling. It's the so in a lot of ways when we interact with each other on that really basic level, it is like a child. Like we want to have people smile at us.
Yep.
We want to have people like who are nice to us and are calm around us and happy to see us. Dogs like that.
Yeah. You can explain to a 3-year-old why thunder's not scary. Clouds are banging together. God's playing the drums. Whatever you want to say.
Right.
You can't explain that to a dog. If a dog is scared of thunder,
Right.
it's okay.
It's not
Well,
gonna change.
It's okay. I'm shaking right now. Okay, thanks. So it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple is easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah. The my dog, who was a German Shepherd, couple this is 2025 in February 2025. German Shepherd, great dog. She had a stroke, and the doctor didn't say stroke, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And I don't know if I've said this before on any of the podcasts, but it was like there came a point where I knew that there was, the doctors had called and said there was no hope of the dog recovering or anything like that. I had to make that decision, that decision you make, and when it came down to it, it was like, this is best for the dog. Even though it's hard to give up. It's hard to. And I talked with my brother about this, and I was kind of saying these things to him, and he's like, he had a dog that he, in his own words, let go too long. He wanted to hold on to that dog. He wanted, when that dog was like beyond the point of like any life that it had.
They can't tell you when they need to go, but if you really pay attention, they tell you.
Yeah.
And it's
very
easy to ignore.
He's animating the dog and like, and he was imparting to it that feeling of that it wanted, like, and well, here's the thing that like I said, I don't know if I shared with another podcast, which is but it's apropos because we're talking about this is so when the time finally came, we laid out the dog. The vet like was super nice. Like we laid out a blanket like in the kind of yard beside where the vet was, and we're gonna go through the process. And I was very emotional. My wife was there. But I feel like God was saying to me, "You have a choice here. Yes, you it's emotional, and it's not taken away from that. But you have a choice to kind of say, you can be grateful
Mm-hmm.
for every single day,
Mm-hmm.
and grateful for the fact that you're here. Maybe perhaps like something could have happened where, you know, you weren't available.
Mm-hmm.
You're here in the last moments comforting a dog that brought you comfort.
Yep.
And hold on to that gratitude
Mm-hmm.
when you could hold on to, I don't have this.
Right.
Hold on to I, I'm grateful for what I did have and the opportunities it gave me. And you can learn a lot about life
Oh,
from a
yeah.
little simple thing like that.
And that opportunity right there for the dog. In nature, they don't have that.
Yeah,
In nature, the pack will leave them behind.
yeah,
You're dragging us down, we're leaving. And they're left by themselves. Here, we're giving the opportunity to, A, be with the dog, but the dog has you with it.
yeah.
Where they don't have that in nature. So it goes both ways, in my opinion.
But yeah,
It's powerful.
it's powerful. Having an animal, a dog specifically, is something that I think if a lot of people took into the fact that like it, think of it as you're giving grace to something that like an animal that would be often a who knows what,
Yeah.
and think of every opportunity as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I said this to somebody sometime, and I think it's even revolutionary in some small microcosm, which is even challenges be think of as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dog won't do XYZ. Okay, that's a gift for maybe you to learn something.
Well,
Or
they're
like,
not challenges, they're opportunities.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, somebody, this is not related to a dog, but somebody said to me, it's like, I thought about this too when my kids were growing up. I have to go to a PTA meeting. I have to do this. Like, if you could just switch one word,
Mm-hmm.
get
I
to.
get to. Yep.
I get to. I get. And that's what, like, I was like, I didn't have to be there when my dog passed away. I got to be
Mm-hmm.
there.
And it's the gratitude part. It's so easy to go to the negative. It's easier for us to go to the negative than the positive.
Well, that's the thing too, and like with the training, with maybe the impossible dog or the dog you feel like has no chance. It's that like no, I get to be here to accept the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome.
It's been great having a conversation with you,
I appreciate it.
and we'll step out and leave the booth open to the next
Awesome.
person.
Sounds good.
Hey, we had a great conversation today at this new spot, and hey, we learned a lot about life. We learned about what it's good like to be a good neighbor, maybe what's like to how we all want to be treated a little bit, where we come from, where we're going, and hopefully you got something good out of this episode. Don't forget to like and share and all that subscribe stuff.